drafted at the number 12 spot. Look, I'm not dumb. I know she's not the 12th best player in the league.
The WNBA has always had a spotlight on its players, but lately there's been an increased level of attention. Much of that attention has been on Angel Reese, a player known for her fiery attitude and controversial actions both on and off the court. While she certainly knows how to keep herself in the headlines, her performances in the league have been more about quantity than quality. After a season where she averaged a double-double with 13.6 points and 13.1 rebounds, there has been increasing scrutiny about whether she's truly one of the top players in the league. Her stats are impressive on paper, but the truth is far more complex, and some would argue that her numbers are inflated by her inability to finish around the rim. A critical view on Reese's performance has sparked a conversation about whether she truly deserves to be ranked among the league's best players. Some critics point out that her 13.1 rebounds per game might not be as impressive when half of those are coming from her own missed layups. While grabbing your own miss could show hustle, it also highlights inefficiency, as repeated missed layups lead to an inflated rebounding total that isn't always indicative of great play. If you break down her shooting performance, it's easy to see why some people doubt her. Missing layups is an area that many would expect a player of her caliber to improve, yet it remains one of her glaring weaknesses. Her numbers don't exactly reflect true dominance, especially considering that she's grabbing a good chunk of her rebounds simply because she's consistently missing the mark on easy shots. The conversation around Angel Reese has, unfortunately, shifted more towards her off-court antics. Known for her trash-talking and larger-than-life persona, Reese seems to be working overtime to maintain her status as a figure in the public eye. Whether it's her choice of outfits at high-profile events like the Super Bowl or the controversial statements she makes about other athletes, Reese keeps herself at the center of the conversation. Her wardrobe choices at such events have drawn attention for being more about marketing her image than representing her skills on the basketball court. While some might argue she's merely expressing herself, others see it as a desperate attempt to maintain relevancy in a world where true basketball talent is often overshadowed by flashy personalities. While many of Reese's antics are designed to keep her name in the spotlight, one has to ask, how much of this is really about basketball? Her performance on the court often seems secondary to her efforts to stay in the media's eye. Players like Caitlin Clark, who is constantly setting records and dominating on the court, don't have to resort to the same level of attention-grabbing behavior. Clark is known for her impeccable basketball IQ, impressive shooting range, and ability to make plays that leave fans in awe. Angel Reese, on the other hand, appears more focused on making sure people remember her name, even if it means sacrificing her actual basketball development in the process. The fact remains that Reese is often compared to other players, and her name is continuously thrown into the conversation alongside the league's elite. However, many analysts and fans argue that she's not quite on the same level as the true superstars of the WNBA. For instance, Sadou Sabali, who is ranked just below Reese, is frequently cited as a player who has demonstrated more well-rounded skills and a more consistent level of play. Sabali has proven that she can contribute in multiple areas of the game, and her performance has been much more balanced than Reese's, especially when it comes to her ability to contribute efficiently on both ends of the floor. Angel Reese's critics are quick to point out that she is known more for her antics than her actual basketball abilities. Some argue that she spends more time in the headlines for her viral moments than she does working on refining her game. If you watch her play, it's hard not to notice the inconsistencies in her shot-making, ball handling, and overall decision-making. Despite her impressive statistics, her shooting efficiency remains one of her biggest weaknesses, and her failure to improve in this area has caused many to wonder if she's more concerned with building her brand than perfecting her craft. One of the most telling aspects of Reese's game is her tendency to chase personal accolades rather than focusing on team success. She often highlights her double-doubles, which are certainly impressive, but don't necessarily reflect the broader picture of her impact on the court. In reality, her teammates are often the ones putting up better numbers and driving the team forward, while Reese chases rebounds off her own missed shots. If you really break it down, it becomes clear that her dominance is much more about the sheer number of opportunities she has to grab rebounds rather than any significant improvement in her basketball skills. Critics have gone so far as to compare her style of play to the likes of Andre Drummond, an NBA player notorious for putting up empty stats in the form of rebounds while struggling to be an efficient offensive player. While Drummond's rebounding numbers were often lauded, they were also seen as a byproduct of his inability to make simple shots around the basket. Angel Reese seems to have followed a similar path, racking up rebounds not because she is a fantastic player, but because she misses a significant number of easy shots, which gives her multiple chances to grab boards. In the grand scheme of things, this kind of performance doesn't necessarily add up to the kind of greatness that Reese often claims she's destined for. It's easy to understand why players like Caitlin Clark continue to steal the spotlight. Clark doesn't need to wear outlandish outfits to draw attention. Her skills on the court speak for themselves. Her deep three-pointers, record-breaking performances, and leadership have made her one of the most talked-about athletes in the sport. Meanwhile, Reese seems to be riding the wave of her national championship win and leveraging her status as a celebrity figure to remain relevant. While there's no denying that she has made an impact off the court, it's hard to ignore the fact that her game doesn't always match the hype she creates. The comparison between Reese and Clark is often framed as a battle between a flashy personality and a quiet, determined athlete. Clark's game speaks volumes, while Reese's game often gets overshadowed by her controversial behavior. Reese's habit of clinging to social media drama, bashing other athletes, and making questionable fashion choices only serves to detract from what she could be focusing on, becoming a better basketball player. If she put the same amount of effort into her game as she does into staying in the media's eye, it's possible that we could see a much more refined and dominant version of Reese. The real question that needs to be asked is whether Reese is truly working to be the best player she can be, or if she's simply trying to stay relevant. The fact that she is continually trending for reasons unrelated to basketball shows that her brand may be more important to her than her basketball skills. Reese has certainly found a way to build a personal brand, but it remains to be seen whether this will translate into long-term success on the court. While other players like Clark are pushing the boundaries of what's possible in women's basketball, Reese seems content with maintaining her place in the conversation through non-basketball related antics. At the end of the day, the gap between Reese and the true superstars of the league continues to widen. Players like Caitlin Clark are focused on their game, breaking records, and achieving greatness on the court. Angel Reese, meanwhile, is focused on staying in the spotlight, making sure that people don't forget about her, even if it means taking a step back from basketball's more traditional requirements. The 2025 WNBA season is likely to see Caitlin Clark continue to dominate, while Angel Reese's relevance will likely depend on her ability to keep herself in the public eye for reasons that have little to do with basketball. The question is, how long can this charade last before people start seeing through the act and demand more from one of the league's most polarizing figures?